All right, let's cover a couple more things. Carson Wentz will be the starter against the Browns this weekend for the Washington Commanders. Remember, the Green Bay Packers are hoping that the Commanders will lose one of their games down the stretch here, and that would mean they could win out and make the playoffs. After the tumultuous season that the Green Bay Packers have had, it is seemingly all still right in front of them. Aaron alluded to it yesterday. All the pundits are alluding to it now. Carson Wentz has announced the starter against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, they
stink.
They have players. Myles Garrett was suspended for the first quarter this past week for team offenses. We have not learned what that is. He was sick last week as well, allegedly, so he missed a couple practices. Was he late to a meeting? He gets suspended. He's one of their best players. What's going on in Cleveland? Deshaun's there. Deshaun on the football field. We won't talk about everything off the field. It's a lot. On the football field, has not been able to just be the MVP-like player he was 7 years ago whenever he played every single week. I think they're viewing this as a preseason almost for Deshaun. It get some game action in there. Then he gets into another offseason. Then he has another OTAs, another training camp. Then they're back in there. I think that's probably how they're viewing it, especially with how much money they're paying Deshaun. But as soon as we said Carson Wentz is starting for the Commanders, and we saw that beautiful picture of him not using the laces.
That's right.
Because Carson Wentz just plays football. He doesn't need the laces. No, he does not.
Nope.
Hey, we need to talk a little bit more about the quarterbacks that aren't using the laces, because that used to be a topic of conversation. This guy's mitt is so big, he doesn't need the laces.
Nope.
Duke is a big ball. Carson don't care. He's throwing that thing around to everybody, including the other team every once in a while. You celebrated. You'd rather face Carson than Taylor Heinicke? You'd rather face the guy they're paying $28 million than the guy they're paying $7 million? What are you so excited about as a Browns fan this weekend, Ty Schmidt?
Yeah, without a doubt. I understand they're pot committed, but the only reason they're in the only reason the Commanders are in the position they're in right now is because that entire team has rallied behind Heinicke, and maybe his ceiling is like a career backup, but they've been winning. They've kind of, like I said, they've rallied behind him. Like Carson, not only has he not played in several weeks and hasn't gotten those reps, he's coming off being hurt, but you know what you're getting out of him. Yeah, is there a chance he goes out and throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns on Sunday? Maybe.
He might run for 2, too.
He could. Is there a chance he throws 3 picks and takes 4 sacks for, an 18-yard loss multiple times? Yeah, there is. So, yeah, when I saw that, it was like, okay, if Heinicke would have been starting, I would have been like, oh, shit. This is going to be very, very difficult. I think Carson Wentz starting, all Packers fans are jacked up.
What has the line done at Tone Diggs, one half of the hammer? Dahn! Cowboys. Do you know what the movement has been since Carson Wentz has been announced starter? Because remember, Carson Wentz goes to the Commanders. 0 change in their odds to win the Super Bowl.
None.
Von Miller goes to the Bills, not a quarterback. Little bit of a bump in percentages of winning, worse odds all of a sudden. You're getting worse on your money because they added Von Miller. Commanders add Carson Wentz. No change at all from the sports books. None. You get Heinicke, you get Carson, you have the Commanders. This is what we think it is preseason. So will they change at all for Carson? Will it be better or worse? Because I'm starting to think, rested Carson? Oh, my. Scary Terry McLaurin?
Yeah.
The type of player he is.
Dotson.
With how Carson is Dotson, with how he extends plays and just throws all fuck it. Scary Terry loves that type of stuff. That's where Scary Terry literally thrives. He's on. What if Carson Wentz takes the Commanders couple game run into the playoffs? Playoff Carson, the commies doing their thing, and Snyder and Ron Rivera are all playing big boy chess. Everybody's distracted by Taylor Heinicke, the feel-good story, the guy who's buying Jordans for the team, the guy who's cutting promos for everybody, the guy who's saying all I do is zin, 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 no matter what. I'm going to go watch film. Everybody loves him. They're chanting his name, basically. Ron Rivera's like, you know what the boys need right now? Snyder's like, yeah, I do know.
That Jesus-loving son of a bitch who's been sitting on the bench.
Let's go ahead and rattle this thing up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get the boys a little pissed off for these last couple of weeks. And let's let Carson do Carson things and ride us into that promised land. And that could happen. Carson could have the greatest game of all time this weekend.
Very possible.
That is a very real thing.
Just from a locker room perspective, how do you think those guys feel? Because Heinicke has they've all rallied behind him, and it's not like they're eliminated from playoff contention. Like they
No,
win
they're
these
not.
next 2 games, they're fucking in. And granted, as a Packers fan, like this is all a moot point if they don't win their last 2 games. But if you're in that Washington locker room, like, how do you feel good about this? Like, this guy hasn't fucking played in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Losing
you know,
with him.
he hasn't. That's your starting quarterback coming into the season, and it's not like Heinicke has played like lights out.
No, definitely not.
He's played decent, he's played solid, but so I mean, you still gonna go out there and handle your business. I don't think you feel one way. It's not like you're benching the guy who's been playing great and you just putting the guy
So
back
you
in there
think
because he's getting paid big money.
You think those guys think that Carson gives them a better chance to win than Heinicke does?
Well, they got obviously a better viewpoint than us because they see him in practice. They probably been seeing him on scout team, see him around the building. So I don't know. That's interesting to see how that team looks.
All right, let's take a break here. What are you going to say, Tone?
It was 2.5 yesterday. It's 1.5 today. I mean,
Get it now. Get it now before
Who's
they
favorite?
realize what they're doing.
Washington.
Washington?
Yeah.
Get it now.
But like I assume
So they were favored by 2.5.
I assume they thought that once you put Carson in the game last week, there was no way that Heinicke was starting this game, right?
I guess. I don't know,
There were
man.
rumblings before the game even started,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, there were.
Yeah, that could be a
Short
quick
leash.
hook.
Yeah. And then Heinicke didn't really play that bad.
He played well.
It's an interesting situation. That's what the business of football is. Speaking of